Welcome to Talking Points. I'm Esme Murphy, and sitting next to me is the Vice President of the Minneapolis City Council, Jamal Osman, and we are going to talk about your concerns, sir, about Somali youth being talked about in a way that you feel is unfair, you feel is stereotyping, but yet you also have spoken out, too, about the need for everybody to come together on the problem of street violence, not just in the Somali community, but in all communities. Let me ask you about your concern about Sheriff Bob Fletcher, who had a news conference, I was there, where he talked about Minnesota and the Twin Cities have a real problem with Somali youth gangs. You were concerned about that. Why?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think it's important to know that we do have a youth violence in our city and our state, But for Sheriff Fletcher to single out one community is not the solution. I think that calling Somali crime, it's a problem. It singles out one community and gives a crime ethnicity. And I think as a leader, you are responsible bringing people together, and this is not bringing people together and makes community not, work with our law enforcement.
What was the reaction in the community, the Somali community, to that?
Well, many of the folks that I spoke to are upset. They know there is an issue, and it's not just only Somali community, but as a society, we do have a youth based on, lack of opportunity, employment. There's so many different issues that's happening with our youth. But for him to come out in that kind of platform and mention what he mentioned felt like he was singling out. And we're not new to this singling out approach.
Well, he was definitely singling out the Somali community. There's no doubt about that. He also talked about in the past 4 years, there had been 14 Somali homicides. I'm assuming Somalis were victims, 100 Somali shootings. He was saying that he was trying to point out that, what he was saying was that inside the Somali community, there's a breakdown sometimes between the younger people and the older people, which is something that happens in all cultures. But is that a particular problem here, considering all the cultural changes that families have to go through?
Well, it's really important to tell the truth. The data that Bob Fletcher shared was not accurate data.
Okay.
It was a collection of incidents for the last 3 years. Okay. And that incident does not say anything about Somali crimes. It's just he collected data from the MPD and from others to combine and make his case that there's a Somali gang issue. I have a problem with that because I spoke to our Somali police officers and also MPD leadership that they have a problem. Him stating and using that data as somehow there's a gang problem, and this will not help our police officers to do their, enforcement and cooperation with the community. So I was very disappointed, and I asked actually the MPD leadership that we should cut ties with communication with Bob Fletcher's office.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he's the sheriff of Ramsey County. That's a pretty big entity that you'd be cutting ties with. But I do want to, you mentioned Somali police officers. There are young Somali police officers that I've seen. I feel like I've seen more of them. They're probably, in your view, maybe not enough, but they are there and seem to be doing a very good job. And is that helping in terms of just interactions with the community and also just interactions with all communities?
Yes, definitely. When you have police officers that reflect the community, communities trust them. And we have seen them solve a lot of crimes and dealing with so many different issues, but especially when it comes to Somali community, it's proven that Cedar Riverside is safe when we were able to have police officers that knows the community, that can have a coffee, that can build that relationship with the community, people that trust. So I've been speaking to them. They were really disappointed, his comment, and they believe it will jeopardize their work of solving crimes.
One of the things that you have done is you have talked about the problem of violence in general, not just focusing on the Somali community, but you say we have a problem with violence in general. And it was a few weeks ago when we had a series of shootings in Minneapolis. One night there was, I believe, 14 people shot, including one person killed. One of the shootings was in the Uptown area, 9 people outside of a nightclub. You said we need a more comprehensive look, an overall look at crime. Can you explain that? And people have been trying to get at this for a long time.
I'll tell you, community is really tired of seeing the gun violence every weekend, and that is unacceptable. We have a gun violence issue in our city, and there are some criminals out there that are shooting each other and also making our community and businesses really scared. The case of 19 and Nicolette, it's something that we have seen happen last 6 years. And it's just young people standing on the corner, and I believe there's some kind of gang-related issue with that. So, and also Rain nightclub. Really, communities and families are hurting because of that. So I believe the solution here is to tackle that. We need to be put away the folks that are committing crimes, are carrying illegal guns in our community.
All right, let's get into that, because I want to get to 19th and Nicollet, because that's an area you've worked on for a long time. But let's talk just about the Uptown shooting at the Rain nightclub, which is right opposite the library there. It was a nightclub building, happened outside a nightclub. That area used to be, when I was younger, it was kind of the hip place to be, and there were fun places to go and wonderful restaurants, great shops. There was an Apple store there, and that area has really fallen on some hard times. What do you think and some people blame actually the city for some of the construction projects that they've had around there. What can be done for that particular area, do you think?
Well, the city plan is to bring back that memory, that wonderful memory that you had when you were young. And we are working towards that. We're working with businesses. We're working with neighborhoods. Yeah. And, one of the things that I spoke to the mayor and also the police department is what do we do? What do we need to do to increase our police officers and also actually have a beat cop and make sure the cops are, outside their cars and walking and talking to the community and building that relationship and also keeping our community safe. So it is challenging that young people are carrying guns and just dealing with that kind of crime, but it's unacceptable. And I think City of Minneapolis itself cannot handle it. We need the partnership of the county. We need the partnership of the, prosecutor and prosecutor and attorney, county attorney, to make sure that these repeated crimes are not continue to come back. Okay. And also, of course, Metro Transit police officers. This has to be a cloud-based
It is very near
approach.
Kind of a little hub, a mini hub of bus transit right there. So you think that if you had beat officers, and certainly obviously a lot of the action is going to happen on Friday or Saturday night, but in that uptown area where they still do have some nightclubs, you think if you had a beat cop there, walking the street at that hour or when bar closing comes, do you think that would help?
Yeah, I think if you have a police officer, crimes are low. The data shows that if you have a visible police officer in the community, folks are not going to pull out their gun and start shooting people. So obviously we need more investigated, gun unit, a CERT team, as we call in City of Minneapolis, to be deployed and to make sure that these are only few folks, very small folks that continue to repeat these crimes, and we have seen that. And how do we make sure we tackle that? We need help from the feds, which we received sometimes. The drug traffickers and criminal activities. We have seen them. The federal government, arrest them, and we also need the county help and the Metro Transit and our police officers as well.
Okay. The city council has infamously been sort of at odds with the police department and the mayor many, many times. You yourself have been as well. Do you think we need more police officers? We're down a couple hundred. Do you think that would help?
Yes, of course. We had one time, prior to my time, I joined 2020, over 800 police officers. We have about 600 now.
Right.
We need more. And we can't continue to finger point to each other. We got to find a solution. And the fact is that we continue to support MPD. And ever since I arrived here 6 years ago, the MPD budget went from 198 million to 230 million. That's over $30 million more. We continue to fund. We continue to create classes for our police officers to get that training, to get a free training, to go through the process to become a police officer. We also have to attract other police officers, outside the metro area or even different states to really get them
Right.
here. Of course, the pay and all those.
Well, the pay has gone up quite a bit
yeah.
for police officers. Actually, I live in the city. I work in the city. We're talking in downtown Minneapolis right now, and somebody I appreciate that. I mean, I think if anything's worth it, I think a lot of people, citizens, do support that, and it is refreshing to see a lot of younger, new police officers, including Somali faces, including Black, Latino, white faces. It's refreshing that seems to be working. In terms of the uptown area, so that's something you suggested. Do they have enough people at the police department to have people
when I
walking around?
talk to the police department, they're really stretched, especially
Yes.
the overtime. The officers that are overworking. That also has consequences of the health and well-being of our police officers. We do not have enough police officers. We need more. And one of the things I did is work with the former chief to have recruiting class in Cedar Riverside, Brian Coyle, and we got like 9 people that sign up. A couple of them right now, and through the process, we need to increase, especially community members from
Right.
that are here. And I encourage the public to apply and join MPD. And
Well, after a few years, they can be making $80,000-$90,000 a year, if not more, when it comes to. I mean, this is a good job. It's obviously a very dangerous job. It's a very important job, but it's a job that jobs are tough these days to get that kind of a good quality job. So it's exciting to see that people are willing to do that with these higher salaries, which I personally think that they deserve. I want to talk about 19th and Nicollet, because this is on the border. This is your district, part of your district.
Stevens Square, yeah.
Stevens Square, which is, for people who aren't familiar, this is where the Minneapolis Institute of Arts is. It's actually a very pretty area. But there are a lot of problems there, and there have been a lot of problems for a lot of years there. And before this shooting, that night we're talking about where there was the shooting outside Rain nightclub, there was also a shooting at 19th and Nicollet. And there somebody was killed. I believe there were at least 4 people shot, 1 person was killed. You had actually been to that area just a few weeks before to hold a meeting about community violence. Tell me about that. What was that meeting like? And I know it's not the first time you've been there, but what was sort of the message you got from that? And then just a few weeks later, this happens.
Well, I was able to connect with the Stevens Square residents and do actually walk in that area to kind of sense what's happening in the area. Residents are spoken very well, and they want some action done. They need the criminals to put away and be arrested. And businesses are struggling over there as well, and this is a repeated same every year. And the folks that are actually committing these crimes don't even live in the neighborhood. It's a very peaceful neighborhood. The park is right there, and people walking with their dogs. But my conversation with the MPD leadership and with the city leadership is that we need to put more resources here to have our officers present. We have a couple of officers right now that are parked there for a while. Yeah. And we have seen also the second shooting that happened, and that was some kind of retaliation, the previous shooting that happened.
Really?
So,
okay.
So the folks are coming back and continue to commit. And that says a lot about overall criminal system that we have.
Well, there's clearly a gang system, but you maintain that, are there Somali gangs that you're concerned about?
Not really. There are Somali youth crimes sometimes happen, but organized crime, as Fletcher put it, doesn't exist because I'm talking to the expertise here. Of course, I continue to have a conversation with my community. We don't want to see school shooting. We don't want to see young people committing crimes. We want to talk to the parents and say, hey, make sure your kids know where about. These are young people. They have a lot of future ahead of them, and they're risking that based on what they saw on Snapchat or TikTok, and it's unacceptable, especially the whole fireworks situation that used to happen in Minnesota. So we continue to go back to the community and say, how do we stop this? And it has worked. We did a walk along with imams and moms and making sure that July 4th message was that do not come to the bridges and to this area. Make sure your kids are about. So I think the way to tackle those, especially Somali community and other communities, is to reach out to the community and ask help, not finger point and call them out through the media.
Well, that's, Sheriff Fletcher was talking about reaching out, but you feel it was the way he did it was a finger pointing.
It was finger pointing, and in my opinion, I think he was just singling his followers on YouTube, and it's unacceptable. He was not talking to our community. He was talking to his followers that watch him on YouTube, and that is unacceptable. If he wants to solve this issue, you got to reach out to Somali police officers, Somali leaders, and tackle the issue and find a solution. I have not seen any solution.
What do you think needs to be done within the Somali community and then just the larger community?
I think what needs to be done, number one, parents need to know where their kid's about. They need to involve.
That's true.
That's number one. Number two.
And you're talking about specifically Somali parents?
Somali parents as well. And also we need to make sure that, young people that are coming up have that adult mentorship they need. They need the resource they need, the employment, early employment. We have a step-up program in City Minneapolis. Yeah. There are a lot of prevention we can do. Once we get to this level of, crimes that we see certain ages, like carjacking and all those are unacceptable, and they need to be held accountable throughout this criminal process.
There have been times in the Twin Cities, and because I am older, maybe 15, 20 years ago, where there was a problem where a lot in the Somali community where there were the parents were from Somalia. There was a language issue, but now those young people are now the parents themselves. So I would think there'd be less of that parents would be in the same. You've got a lot of Somali American parents. It's one of the things that we saw in Operation Metro Surge. Somali people here in Minnesota are U.S. citizens. Do you think that there's still a gap between parents and kids?
Of course, there's that cultural shock, having older mom or dad having a different mentality of growing up than this young people here that are about social media. Let me just say that the number we're talking about is very, very small.
Right.
There are a lot of great stories about top college graduates.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Ivy Leagues, the success of sports and businesses. There's a lot of positive thing in our community, but people focus on more because, of the crimes that are happening. But we cannot ignore those. We definitely have to tackle those things.
Right, and I think that's very fair that the media does not focus on the success stories because there are many, many success stories in the community. But you feel that there could be. Are parents still, they were young too. I know it's hard. And many Somali parents are younger parents. Is there something that can be done to help them?
Yes, I will definitely say, first of all, it starts within our community, with the community. We need that mentorship. Of course, parents are busy working double jobs, trying to, pay
it's
their
hard.
pay their rent and
for any situation.
Yeah, raise their young ones. But I think as a new immigrant that's been here less than 30 years, we accept that as challenges. But at the same time, the positive part is a lot more. But I think the young men that need that help, we need to be able to get that early prevention and make sure that there's that mentorship, youth programming, sports. Those are the things. And, of course, when they get teenagers, employment and opportunities for training, so on. So the way to deal with this is early prevention. That's what I tell my community. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think that's true of all communities and the parental involvement at every level. I mean, you can't have a 14-year-old running around at 10 o'clock at night. That's not not acceptable. But that happens in all communities. I do want to ask you about the situation between the council, and I've interviewed many members of the council, including yourself, and also the mayor. What is the deal there? Why can't you all get along?
Well, I'm actually happy to say that I'm the swing vote. I try to.
You are the swing vote, many times.
I try to work both sides. I think each of them is doing, their intention is to do good for the community. I believe
absolutely. Nobody goes into this
right. But we need to be able to put, the hat to make sure that, hey, let's work out those differences. Let's not call out through the media. Let's sit down. And my challenge, first time I started here in 2020, council, mayor wasn't speaking. And that is an issue to me And I think we need to have that conversation, especially in the mayor's lead. Mayor's power, the government structure. We need him to lead. We need him to talk to the council members. And if he's not engaged into the council member and he brings items that we might not agree, then you have that chaos between conversations. And also the council leadership, me being part of it, also need to extend and have a conversation with administration. I think the working opportunity is there. We're just not finding it, and we need to find that. And hopefully this training leadership that media was talking about recently is helping us to bring that gap and work together.
This is like you're in couples therapy almost, or whatever.
That's what people say, but you know, I think it's an
anything
opportunity.
that has people talking, I suppose, works.
In my opinion, so far it has worked. I think I have seen communication is going through, but I would say each individual is unique. It's different. I would say get off your horse, serve the community, calm down with your ego, and have a conversation with your colleagues, with the mayor, with the city. And that is when we want, public want to see that. They don't want to see us, arguing and having back and forth with no solution in it. And overall, I am hopeful that next 4 years here, mayor being the last term, he will lead us and he will find a solution for council and the mayor to have a better relationship. And it's that up to him and up to us as well.
How about you, your future? You see yourself staying on the council for many more years, or maybe a run for higher office?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, when I, took over, it was, I didn't know how much weight on this job was, and I went through 4 elections in 5 years, which is unheard of it, you know. But my goal is to serve. My position I am right now, Ward 6 resident, and, make sure that the tenants are getting the protection they need, and especially addiction treatment is available for our community. And the future, God knows I will continue to push and, help the community. But I'll tell you, me serving in this council has been opportunity of a lifetime, and I connected so many lives that can't imagine. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, Council Member Jamal Osman, Vice President of the Minneapolis City Council, thank you so much. That does it for this edition of Talking Points. Thank you so much to Jamal Osman and also to all of you for listening. We appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Esme Murphy, WCCO News.